things you don't talk about at parties. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Keep this frequency clear.
And now it's conspiracy. See, they've made that something that should not be even entertained for a minute. That powerful people might get together and have a plan. Doesn't happen. You're a kook. You're a conspiracy buff.
You're watching The Truth is Viral, the only news program on the internet trusted to deliver the truth since 2008. And now, here's your host, Mr. Bobby Powell.
Welcome back to The Truth is Viral. I'm your host, Bob Powell, and I'm standing here in front of WBKB TV 11 in Alpena, Michigan for a reason. We'll get back to that later. This is part 2 of a special 4-part series on the Second Amendment demonstration that was held in Lansing on March 20th. It was sponsored by SecondAmendmentMarch.com, the Michigan Open Carry, the Michigan Coalition for Responsible Gun Owners, Students for Concealed Carry, MichiganGunOwners.org, and Campaign for Liberty. Around 1,000 heavily armed patriots descended on the Capitol building in Lansing, where they stood shoulder to shoulder with Michigan legislators and law enforcement officers to tell Barack Obama and his gun-grabbing minions that if they want the guns of the citizens of the state of Michigan, they are going to have to come and take them. Now, in this segment, we'll hear from a few of the event's organizers, as well as congressional candidate Don Valeric. He's a Republican who's been endorsed by Ron Paul and the Liberty Caucus. These folks talk about the importance of maintaining our Second Amendment rights, including the right to open carry. Now, until my concealed pistol license is issued, that right to open carry in Michigan is extremely important to me. In case you're new to The Truth is Viral, and a lot of people are, because I'm gaining like 200 subscribers a week, and you don't know, my family and I have been the targets of scores of death threats. My favorite was the one to burn me and my children to death while we're sleeping in our beds and gang rape my wife. So yeah, these are the kind of people that we're up against. You know, what a bunch of scumbags. So yeah, I'm strapped 24/7. If one of these mutts actually works up the gumption to try and make good on one of these threats, I got something for their ass. Now, the progressives have failed in their attempt at an outright ban on so-called assault weapons. They just look bad because they're black. But that hasn't stopped them from trying to subvert the Constitution. The instances of veterans returning from fighting in foreign lands, many of them torn and with broken bodies, are labeled as possible domestic terrorists. And those reports are increasing. Hundreds have been receiving letters demanding that they submit to mental health evaluations in order to keep their guns. Tony DeMott from the Campaign for Liberty talks about that.
Good morning, Patriots. Michigan Open Carry was formed only a few short years ago in 2009. We started out with simple goals of educating the public, municipalities, and law enforcement agencies about the lawful carry of a holstered firearm. We started out a small group and considered fringe and in your face. Well, I look out today and see hundreds of my brothers in arms and sisters in arms, and I'm not so fringe now, are we? No! We're not. We want to be in your face today, don't we? Yeah! Well, guess what? Today we're going to be in your face, and we will not be ignored. MOC has grown by leaps and bounds in the past few years, from humble beginnings with a handful of members and supporters, and we hope today we'll get a few more from you guys. Our voice is now heard in Lansing more than ever before. This is mainly because of the tireless efforts of our president, Phil Hoffmeister. During his tenure as MOC president, he's become a lobbying force in Lansing, not just for MOC, but for all of you. So please join me in thanking Phil Hoffmeister for his efforts with a big round of applause. Phil Hoffmeister!
Thanks, guys, and thanks, Rob, for that great introduction. And I want to thank the group of supporters we have over in the tent there today that are helping us run our table and keep things in order over there. I'm just one guy, and without the army of growing volunteers we have in this organization, it would be impossible for me to do everything that we do. Like I said, I'm just one fellow. And I want to thank everybody here for coming out today. I know it's cold, and I know a lot of people may have shied away because it's cold, but our rights are important, and I'm glad to see so many people show up today, so thank you. So, if you want to know more about open carry and our organization, and maybe get on our mailing list so that we can find out about open carry seminars in your area, please go over to the tent and ask to be signed up to our mailing list, and we'll certainly email you about legislation we're working on and events that we're out working on in your area. I just want to know, by show of hands, how many people here open carry in their daily lives? That's all right. Well, I've been open carrying myself for the past 2.5 years. People say that, or people think that you run into problems all the time. So the truth of the matter is most people don't even notice. I've never had someone run away scared from me, believe it or not. In the past 2.5 years, I can count on one hand the amount of times I've been asked to leave someplace. It was no big deal. I never had a long, drawn-out encounter with the police officers. I think the longest encounter I had was 20 seconds. And I just said I was out for a walk, and he said, great, have a good day. So I hope that if you haven't open carry before, that you'll consider it. And even if you don't want to open carry, at the very least that you'll support everyone else's right to open carry if they so choose. I just want to take a brief moment to tell you why I think open carry is the best thing that you can do for the Second Amendment. Now I have a question to ask you. Regardless of how you feel about the topic, would anybody here refute this statement I'm about to make? In the past 20 or 30 years, the homosexual community has gotten more acceptance for who they are. Does anybody refute that? I don't think there's a single person here. Even if you don't like it, you won't refute that they've gotten more acceptance. Why is that? I think one of the big reasons is that they've come out of the closet. That's what we're trying to do with gun ownership. We're trying to bring gun ownership out of the closet, so that way, when you go to the grocery store or you walk down the street, your friends, families, your neighbors, the people that you see that are complete strangers in the store will know that you're a gun owner and that you're just a law-abiding, everyday person like them, and the only difference is that you happen to be walking around with a gun on your hip. And that's really what we want to see happening with gun ownership here in this state. So that way, whenever there's a national debate or even a statewide debate about gun rights or taking away our rights, these people who are on the fence that sell you at the grocery store will think about you as a nice, law-abiding, respectable person that they met, and they might think to themselves, boy, I don't want to take away that person's right. He was a good person. Right now, there's a big stereotype out there that there's only two types of people that carry guns, cops and criminals. And we want to break that stereotype by showing everybody that law-abiding, good people carry guns too. So, if nothing else, I hope you open carry for that. Just one last point. We need to retake the dialogue in this country. Back in the 90s, when the gun grabbers wanted to take away our rifles, semi-automatic rifles, they started to come up with this term, an assault rifle, to make it sound scary. It's just a semi-automatic rifle. You pull the trigger once, it goes off once. A lot of people don't know that. Whenever people start talking about assault rifles, I want you to ask them, well, what's an assault rifle? Or do you mean a semi-automatic rifle? Because we need to educate people what these things are. These things don't spray bullets all day long. You pull the trigger once, you get one bang. And people need to understand that. I tell you that if a semi-automatic rifle is an assault rifle, and a semi-automatic rifle with a pistol grip is a military-style assault rifle, then an SUV is an assault vehicle, and a Hummer and a Jeep is a military-style assault vehicle. Just one piece of legislation I want to talk about it that you'll hear a lot more about in the coming years is Senate Bill 213. That piece of legislation will repeal many of the pistol-free zones. I'd love to tell you more about it, but I'm limited on time today. It's being sponsored by Senator Green, a very good guy. He'll be speaking later. If you want to hear more about it, please sign up for our email list in the tent over there. Go ask for the Michigan Open Carry table. Get on our email list. You'll hear more about it. Next up, I want to introduce to you a vet and a good friend of mine. He's the state chairman of Campaign for Liberty. Many of you may have heard that there was a political convention in town, Lansing, here about a month ago. And some people were asked to leave because they were carrying guns. Well, that was me, and that was my good friend over here, Tony. So please give a round of applause for Tony DeMott, state chairman, state chairman for this Campaign for Liberty.
Hello. How many vets we got out here? Outstanding. Have you heard about the mental health list that vets coming back home from a war zone from defending our country are being put on these lists and not allowed to purchase firearms?
Had one in my store just a month ago.
Exactly. That's what I want to talk to you about. In my opinion, this is potentially the greatest threat to gun rights that I have seen in my lifetime, are these mental health lists. Exactly. What the gun grabbers want to do is they want to remove your right to privacy with your doctor. I have, in the past month, I've had 2 friends give me stories about going into a hospital or into their doctor, and suddenly they're being questioned about owning guns, and do they own guns, and what type of guns do they own. And one of my friends, who's a good old rabble-rouser, said, "I'm not telling you, and why do you want to know?" And they said, "Well, the Department of Homeland Security has us send them this information." Exactly. It's voluntary. If you go in and you go into a hospital and you're in that situation, you do not need to give them any of that information, and don't. Exactly. Exactly. I see Homeland Security right here.
Make sure you counsel your family the same way.
This is a rowdy bunch. I like you guys. So you need to understand how this is working. In the last session, Michigan Republicans passed legislation that would pay doctors to implement the infrastructure to digitize your medical records. You would think digitizing your medical records are fine, and it is, if it's voluntary. But these programs never remain voluntary. As a matter of fact, in the Affordable Care Act, they mandate digitized medical records, and they will be digitizing your whole medical history. And in this medical history, they will have bureaucrats going through and finding reasons to put you on the no-buy list. Now, I don't know if you remember the no-fly list. Senator Kennedy was put on the no-fly list 3 individual times. The federal government is no good at creating effective lists. We know this. We know this. And we know that the no-buy list will have thousands, hundreds of thousands, and potentially millions of American citizens on that list. And they will be prevented from purchasing the tools that they need to defend themselves and defend their families. This is what most politicians right now, even Republicans, are calling common sense legislation. If you think that this information is not going to be shared, not going to be shared with other states, other bureaucracies, and the federal government, you are sadly mistaken. In Michigan right now, we have 2 fusion centers. These fusion centers serve one purpose. They are there to collect as much information on you as possible and send that to the federal government. The Department of Homeland Security, Robert Mockney of the Department of Homeland Security, has already stated publicly numerous times that this information is shareable between non-governmental organizations, governmental organizations, and foreign governments. This is the link that is slowly creeping up on you, that is slowly establishing the mental health do not buy list. It comes with Obamacare, it comes with fusion centers, and now it comes with the codifying in law of these mental health lists, where they will have official lists that you are on, and you will be on that list if you claimed it at some point 10 years ago to your doctor that you were experiencing stress, or that you had a problem in your marriage and you went and seen a counselor. All of these pieces of information will be collected and gathered and stored upon you and used against you in your right to bear arms and your right to self-defense. So I ask you today that when these mental health no-buy lists come to Michigan, and they will, because they're hitting every state all over the place, and they're pushed by the federal government, when they come to Michigan, there is only one thing that can stop them, and that is your activism. You have to get on the phone. You have to write the emails. You have to talk to your friends and family. You have to be an activist. The days are gone when gun owners can sit back and wait for the NRA or the gun organizations to stop legislation. You have to do it now, and you have to do it yourself. I'd like to thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to come up here. So I'll take your point of interest offline, sir. They're telling me my time is about up, so I would rather live on my feet than die on my knees. So, thank you.
Hey, did we pray for sunshine?
Hey, Tony was absolutely right. You know, you are responsible for your own personal safety. You are responsible for warning your friends and family from the coming civil war that the Department of Homeland Security is obviously preparing for. I mean, come on. They're practically shouting it from the rooftops. Look at what we're doing. They've bought 2 billion rounds of ammunition. That's enough to wage an Iraq intensity conflict in the United States for 24 years. Enough to kill every man, woman, and child in the United States 5 times over, maybe 6. Depending on whose math you use. They bought more than 7,000 automatic, now not semi-automatic like we've got, but automatic assault weapons, and 3,000 MRAPs, those are the mine-resistant assault vehicles, for use inside the United States. Even Congress is wondering why. Now, in just a minute, we'll get back to the demonstration in Lansing, where Jeff Lefebvre from MichiganGunOwners.com has a message for the esteemed gentleman in Washington, D.C. If you try to take away our gun rights, we're coming after you. Of course, he meant it in the nicest possible way. But right now, I want to tell you about my good friend Greg Lyle at oldwheelgunshop.com. He made this holster for me. It's beautiful. It's got my wife's name inscribed in it. I want to tell you about him. We should watch this. I'd like to welcome Greg Lyle and the Old Wheel Gun Shop as the official outfitter for The Truth is Viral. I want you to take a look at this holster, will you please? Is this not beautiful? This is a work of art. I first found Greg when I was looking for a holster for my High Point 40 cal. And you know, anybody that's had a High Point knows that holsters for them are difficult, if not impossible, to find because they're so large. I mean, this is a large gun. You know, just the right size for my large hand. And the nice thing about it is if I ever run out of ammunition, I can beat somebody to death with this thing. But the holsters for them are notoriously hard to come by. So you're almost going to have one custom made. And that's what Greg Lyle does at the Old Wheel Gun Shop. And he does a doggone fine job doing it too. If you want American craftsmanship at its best, if you want a holster that you can be proud of, be proud to show off, and something that's going to last you for the rest of your life, then you need to hook up with Greg Lyle at oldwheelgunshop.com. They are the official outfitter for The Truth is Viral. Okay, as promised, let's go back to Lansing.
What a response. Can you imagine what we could do if it was 90 degrees out here, huh? Man, all right, good deal. Listen, I want to echo a little bit of what Skip said. Everything we're doing here today is possible because we came together. We've got, as you mentioned, all the gun groups. We've decided that, we've got a bigger calling, and all of us have a bigger calling. We've got to make sure that we get out there and we get heard. Now, I want you to understand that it isn't a small effort to put all this on, and I really, really want to thank the people at Second Amendment March, Skip, for helping to organize all this. This was a big deal. Thank you very much, Skip. As he alleviated to, we don't care what you shoot. I don't care if you shoot skeet, combat competitions, bullseye, muzzleloader. I don't care. Bow and arrow. Doesn't matter to me, okay? We want to make sure that we fight for your rights. We are here to fight for firearms rights for people in the state of Michigan and even people on the federal level. We want to make sure that our voices are heard and that they know that we mean business. If you remember correctly, they tried a little thing called an assault weapons ban back in '94, and if I recall correctly, in '96 it didn't go too well with them, did it? Well, we're looking to do that again. We want to make sure that they hear us in Washington. We want to make sure that they hear us upstairs here, and that they know that we are coming for them if they try to take away our rights. Now, what they try to do, of course, as it was said earlier, is they try to incrementally take away our rights. We've got to make sure that we turn the tables on them and do a little bit of the same to them. We've got several things going on in the state legislature that we're working on. We're working on getting rid of these criminal empowerment zones. We're also working on the Michigan Freedom Firearms Act, where we can manufacture guns in the state of Michigan, keep them in the state of Michigan, owned by the people of the state of Michigan. But we've got to hit it on all sides, folks. You've got to understand there's 80% of the public out there that are non-shooting. You can't shy away from the discussion at Thanksgiving or at Christmas. When somebody brings up an anti-gun point, you've got to fire back. You've got to tell them how you feel. You have to make sure that they know your point. You have to get those bullet points in your head, and you have to make them aware of why our Second Amendment rights are so damned important. Bottom line, we know it. I'm preaching to the choir here. Criminals don't obey these laws. Period. None of them do. We can pass laws till the cows come home, and it is not going to stop a guy from buying a gun on the black market, going in and wiping out a bunch of little kids in a school. That's right, teachers too. I'd like to see teachers armed in the schools. These are things that we're going to be pushing to going forward. But remember what I said, folks. Incremental. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take it back from the same way they took it from us. That's the way we've got to fight them. Now, I want you to go out there and get involved on the local level, too. Just because you leave here today and you go home to your small town, or you live from the way west of here or in the North Country, make sure that you're hammering people up there and that the people you send to this building right here are going to represent you properly. I remember, looking at today, as cold as it was kind of fun. I was coming up here and thinking, geez, what am I going to speak about, and came to me, long time ago, a bunch of old dead guys, really, really fought off a tough storm at Valley Forge. You remember that? Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I'd like to see a little bit of the same out of you folks here. I'd like to see you do what those old dead guys did back then and stand up for your rights and not give an inch. Right. Now, what I'd like to also say to you, too, is one thing we got to fight is apathy, folks. If you see people who are here, obviously we're going to be preaching to the choir, talking to them, but we can't be apathetic about these rights when we go out and we leave here. We have to make sure that we continue hammering on it. Don't give up. Don't give an inch. Don't let back. Don't be apathetic, though. Don't think, well, they're not coming for my gun. It's okay. We're all brothers and sisters in arms, every single one of us. So make sure whatever you do, that you watch these bills. You stay posted on everything. Watch the MOC websites. Watch Michigan gun owners. Make sure that you're looking at the Second Amendment March stuff. Look at what they're fighting and what their current battles are out there in the Congress, in the Senate, at both the state level and at the federal level. I'd like to thank Brady, also from MCRGO. Brady, you around here? I think you might be in the tent. Brady, I want to thank him for bringing us all together. We all share special talents here. MCRGO does a lot politically. MOC, obviously, very vocal new group. I'm very impressed with their efforts. And Phil Hoffmeister. And also the people here at Second Amendment March for everything that they've done. Make sure that you thank these people too, folks. They're the reason that we're here. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. No problem. Hey, I'm legitimate. Here's my CPL. Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's take 10 seconds and let's honor those that have given their life for this brave country. Let's honor those who died yesterday, those Marines in Nevada, and let's honor all those innocent people that have died under violent crime. Thank you. I want you to look to your left, and I want you to introduce yourself to the person to your left, and I want you to look to the right and introduce yourself to the person on the right, and I want to say, I got your back, brother and sister. All right. Well, we all know why we're here. As a liberty lover and a person that believes in the oath of office, and I'm here to protect your civil rights. And without the Second Amendment, trust me, those other rights will fall quick. The Second Amendment protects those civil rights. Let me read you something real simple here. It's a man I know you all know. It says, a free people ought not only to be armed and disciplined, but they should have sufficient arms and ammunition to maintain a status of independence from any who might attempt to abuse them, which would include their own government. And that's from George Washington. I like this part here too. I mean, it used to be in the old days, if you helped the enemy, it used to be called treason. Yeah. Well, now they call it foreign aid. Boy, are we mixed up, I tell you. Look, when you go, and I run federally, I've been trying to take care of Sandra Levin for the last 5.5 years. It's a tough battle. There's no doubt, but I tell you what, this is a 15-round fight. I've only been through 2 rounds, and I'm still looking for the knockout. I will be here for you, I promise. Okay. I'll be the guy in front of the curtains, but it takes a lot of people behind the curtains to do this. I do have a big target on my back, but I always give them my address and say, come and get me, because I'm waiting for you. Okay. So we've got one congressman here in Michigan named Justin Amash. Let's give it up there for him and his votes. That's right. You know, there's a lot of people throw around conservatism, but, you know, it's real simple. If you just follow the oath of office, you will be a strict conservative like Justin at 92 plus when he goes out and votes, especially fiscally conservative. And I'm pretty sure we got an issue there. Yeah, just a little bit. All right. You know, I'm sure glad everyone's here. You can count on me. I promise you, I will always have your back and I will always protect your civil liberties. Okay? I promise. For sure. You can count on it. No doubt. Hey. That's right. And you know, it was classic when Mr. Carson, when he, I suppose, dissed Barack Obama at an event. But that's not what impressed me. What impressed me is when the media came up to him and they said, Mr. Carson, do you find was it politically correct that you talk that way in front of the president? Mr. Carson very calmly said, the president works for me. We need to get this straight. If I'm ever lucky enough to be your employee, you can count on me. Because when I put my hand on that Bible and I swear to uphold and defend the Constitution, You can count on it. All right. Now, we all know what this is about, and this is about what? Our personal freedom. So now is your time. Let's hear it. Freedom! 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 Well, come on, let's rock this building. That's it. Go. Freedom! 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 Yeah! All right, that was awesome. Hey, I really appreciate everyone coming out here in the cold. And, you know, I don't care whether it's hot, cold, in between. When it comes to this, I'm going to be here. And I'm going to be in front. And I promise you, no more! No more! Thank you. God bless everybody. Hang in there. Okay? Hang in there.
Now, that was really awesome. I've gotten to know Don a little bit over the past few months, and I can tell you that he's the real deal. And the Truth is Viral endorses him and his candidacy for Congress wholeheartedly. If you missed part one with author Doug Giles and Michigan Attorney General Bill Schuette, you need to click on this link right here. But if you're ready to see what the Michigan legislators had to say on the steps of the Capitol building in Lansing about the Second Amendment, then you click this link below. Again, I need to thank my viewers who donated money so that I could afford to attend this event and give it the coverage that it deserved. Thanks to the refusal of WBKB to cover it, the only way that residents of northeastern Michigan are going to hear about it is right here on The Truth is Viral, or on Facebook. And now I've been getting invitations from the permanent mission to the United Nations for the Islamic Republic of Iran for over a year now. In fact, I had to pass up attending the celebration for the Persian New Year just this last week because I could not afford to go. So can you imagine the questions that I could have asked if I had been in the same room with the heads of state from every Muslim country in the Middle East? Oh my gosh, that would have been awesome. So I've got the connections to make this show very exciting and informative. I just lack the resources. I'm doing the best that I can to produce it on what I can afford from my Social Security disability. So most of what I can do is paid for by you guys. So please go to bobpowell.blogspot.com and make a donation today. Maybe we can even start catching up on some of these medical bills that Obamacare isn't paying for. I can't believe it. My wife's got a catastrophic illness and we don't qualify for Medicaid. Well, anyway, that's neither here nor there. Father will provide. So go click on one of these other two links and watch that, and I will see you on the other side. Until next time, thanks for watching The Truth is Viral. I'm your host, Bob Powell. As always, God bless. Semper Fi. Hoorah.
Thank you for watching The Truth is Viral with your host, Bobby Powell. Make sure to follow The Apocalypse on Twitter at The Truth is Viral. Like The Truth is Viral on Facebook, and if you can, please remember to donate to the cause via PayPal at www.bobpowell.blogspot.com.
Smack runner, your game is through. Smack runner, I'm talking to you.